why this is a really important island. It's for our sea turtles. Our sea turtles, we had 58 sea turtles on the island, nest on the island this year.
Great, that's
so
high number.
58 nests. So with a sea turtle, a female sea turtle can actually lay up to 5 clutches in a year. So each clutch has, on average, about 100 eggs in each clutch. And the odds are is that one out of 1,000 baby sea turtles will actually make it to adulthood. So it's a very high mortality rate. And the reason being is that ghost crab that we just saw coming up the dune there. That's one of the main predators out here, and that they can actually predate them at any stage of life. So whenever they're in the egg, or even when they hatch and they're going for the ocean. Another one is, of course, our birds, our seagulls, or gulls, excuse me. They like to really go after them. And then once they get into the ocean, they have a whole array of other species that are going to be going after them. And what they do is that when the sea turtle, when the mama comes up on the beach, she'll walk way up here, straight up to the dunes. And the first thing she's looking for is light. She wants to make sure there's not a lot of light, so whenever her babies do hatch, they're able to get to the ocean quickly. And that's the reason why Masonboro is such a good habitat, because we don't have any development here. So that being said, when she comes up here, she'll dig a hole. It's about 2 feet, almost about a meter deep, and she'll drop her eggs all down her clutch. She'll fill it in, and she won't see them again. She'll go out in the ocean. She'll swim around for a little bit, make some more eggs in her belly, and then come right back up and do the same thing up to 5 times. Now, when the turtle eggs hatch, they all are about the size of a ping pong ball, and when they collapse, they make a little bit of space in the cavity, and that's when they start wiggling. And it acts like an elevator. As they wiggle, the sand drops beneath them, and they all just come up together, and they all rise, start wiggling together. So usually they all hatch within 24 hours of each other. Now, it's really important that they all do it together, because some of them do get trapped. They aren't in the first wave, and they'll get trapped, and unfortunately, they'll pass away. Now, when they get to the surface, they'll stop. They'll all come to a hole right about an inch or 2 from the actual surface. And what they're doing is they're feeling the temperature of the sand. Because if it's daylight, the sand's gonna be warm, and they're not gonna go out. They want it to be cool, and want it to be nighttime, because that's their best chance to avoid gulls or any of our predators are actually looking out for them. And that's when they'll go for it. They'll come out and they'll go. They'll climb out in the water, they'll go as fast as they can, and they swim. They'll swim it takes them about 2 days, 3 days to get really far out when they get into the Gulf Stream. They find a plant, it's a floating seaweed called sargassum, yeah. Sargassum, and they'll climb inside and they'll eat snails, little krill, plankton, any kind of little fish that's gonna be living in that sargassum, and they're gonna ride it all the way up to about Cape Hatteras. That's whenever they hit into the Labrador current, and they'll go across the Atlantic. And whenever they go across the Atlantic, they'll go all the way down the Atlantic, and they'll end up off the coast of Africa. And they'll actually spend 15 to 20 years of their life in Africa. And then when they get to that, by this point, they're about 22, 23 years old, they'll start coming across again. And that's whenever they're becoming mature enough to where they can actually breed. And they'll go into the Caribbean, they'll hang out down there, enjoy the sun for a little bit, the clear water, and then they'll start making their way up north. And that's when they usually lay their eggs anywhere from, well, they'll lay in the Caribbean as well, but they'll lay from Florida up to the East Coast. Mostly our loggerhead sea turtles is what we get here. So this year we had 58. That's one of the higher numbers we've had over the past few years. I've been working out here on the island for 5 years, and this is definitely the highest number. But usually, I think the first year we only had 15. So it really shows you, in the research, it does say that there's kind of a bell curve. That, we'll have the higher years with a higher nesting rate, and then it'll drop out, get lower, and it'll go up and down. So we might be just at the peak of a bell curve, but I mean, it's good to see that we're having the number one, the research and the data to really start to monitor these sea turtles. Because what we have out here is we do have our sea turtle crew that goes out and they actually will excavate the nest. They keep the shell, because the shell they can run DNA on, and they can actually link it back to an individual sea turtle and say, okay, well, this one sea turtle's been nesting here for this many years, or for nest here and at this beach here. So it's really cool that sometimes we'll get a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter all nesting on the same beach in the same year.
Wow.
Which is really amazing. So there's a lot of variables that go into these sea turtles. Not only do they have to survive that 1 in 1,000, but then they have to be a female in order to actually lay again. So it's something that we're very active with, and we're doing a very good job at more research on that.
A lot more than when I was a kid.
Right? Yeah, it's changed a lot. Yeah.
So they start breeding at 22-ish.
Yeah, around 22.
And how long do they persist at that?
They can live up going into 80s, 90s.
And they can reproduce at that age.
Yeah, they keep reproducing. Yeah, they don't stop. They can keep going, yeah. It's cool. We have one that usually will nest up here towards the north end of Masonboro. She only has 3 flippers. She got bit by a shark or hit by a prop. And well, we can tell her track when she comes out. So, you know, she's missing a flipper, so it looks a little weird.
Wow.
But there was one of our researchers was out here one night, and she was struggling digging her hole. So the researcher actually helped her dig her hole. And she dug it, and I guess the mama turtle didn't like it. So she just turned around and went back in the water. She didn't even lay. Next day, she came back, and the researcher was there on the beach again. And the turtle came up, same spot. The researchers helped her dig her out her hole again. That time, she actually laid her eggs. Nice. So it was really cool. And
getting to know each other.
We're playing God to say a little bit, but you know it's an endangered species, and we really need it to come. You know, need that species to survive. They are very important in our ecology.